Okay, so you've definitely heard these two words before, Buddha and Bodhisattva. They both bring to mind this sense of deep wisdom, right? But what if I told you they represent two incredibly different paths to enlightenment? So what's the real story here? Let's get right into it.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll introduce the two big ideas. Then we'll take a deep dive into what makes a Buddha a Buddha. After that, we'll do the same for a Bodhisattva. Then, the fun part. We'll put them side by side to really see the differences, and we'll wrap up with one final thought to chew on.
You know, at the heart of this whole thing is a really interesting question. Why have both? The fact that both of these figures are so central to Buddhism tells you something profound about the philosophy itself. It holds up two different ideals of perfection, one that's all about ultimate transcendence, and another that's all about ultimate compassion.
All right, so let's tackle the Buddha first. What does it actually mean to be a Buddha? It's not really a person in the way we think of one. It's a state of being, an ideal that is way, way beyond our normal everyday reality.
This quote right here gets straight to the point. Only heavenly nature, no human nature. A Buddha is described as a being that has completely left the human condition behind. Just think about that for a second. No personality, no little habits, none of the quirks we recognize as human. What's left is something pure, something totally universal.
And this is where it starts to get really mind-bending. The idea is that a Buddha is an absolute state. It doesn't come from anywhere and it's not going anywhere. It just is. It's described as being formless, totally unmoving, but at the same time, it has infinite wisdom and can show up in countless different ways.
And that brings us to this huge idea, non-duality. See, for a Buddha, all the lines we draw to make sense of the world, me versus you, here versus there, even life versus death, all of those just dissolve. It's kind of like looking at a wave and suddenly realizing, oh, that's not separate from the ocean. There's no self anymore, just one single unified reality. And this just pushes that idea even further. A Buddha isn't tied down by our human concepts, like real or unreal, pure or impure. Their mind isn't in one specific place. It's everywhere and nowhere at the same time. And their compassion isn't an emotion, like feeling sad for someone. It's more like a fundamental quality of the universe itself, like light just pouring out.
Okay, now let's completely switch gears. If the Buddha is this ideal of transcending the world, the Bodhisattva is an ideal that's defined by its deep, active compassion within the world. It's a totally different energy.
And this quote, this is everything. A Bodhisattva is also transcendent and free, yes, but, and this is the absolute key, they possess a perfect human nature. They've reached this incredible height of enlightenment, but they don't ditch their humanity. No, they perfect it. They turn it into the ultimate tool for helping others.
So you see, that perfected humanity has a purpose, and that purpose is totally pointed outwards. A Bodhisattva's whole identity is wrapped up in their vow to help every single living being, to ease suffering without ever thinking, what's in it for me, and to share what they know.
What this all boils down to is just this incredible, profound love. It's the ideal of ultimate self-sacrifice. The Bodhisattva's entire existence is dedicated to nurturing and caring for others.
But here's the thing. This compassion isn't just some fuzzy feeling. It's backed by some serious wisdom. A Bodhisattva gives without getting attached to the act of giving. And because they truly get that idea of non-self, that there isn't a solid, separate me at the center of the universe, their actions can be completely pure, with zero ego involved. Their motivation comes from a pure faith, always looking up to that ultimate ideal of the Buddha.
Okay, so we've looked at both sides of the coin. Now, let's put them head to head. This is where it all really clicks into place.
And here it is, the big one, the most fundamental split. The Buddha is all about moving beyond humanity into something universal. The Bodhisattva, it's about perfecting humanity to its absolute highest potential, all for the sake of helping others. Think of it this way. One is the destination, the other is the path. The Buddha is that final, timeless, unmoving state of being. The Bodhisattva, on the other hand, is a path of constant, dynamic action, driven by that powerful promise to get back in the game and save everyone. And finally, it's about their whole perspective on the self. For the Buddha, enlightenment makes the very idea of a separate self disappear. For the Bodhisattva, the self is still there, but it's put into ultimate service. It's completely defined by its loving, sacrificial relationship to others. So, where does that leave us? After going through all of that, what's the one big thing to take away from this explainer? How do we sum up this beautiful, complex difference?
He really does come down to this. The Buddha represents the goal of absolute freedom, of transcending this world of suffering entirely. The Bodhisattva represents the goal of willingly returning to that world, armed with wisdom and love, to show everyone else the way out. They are two different powerful answers to the question of what perfection looks like. And that leaves us with a pretty deep question to think about. We've got these two powerful ideals. Is true perfection found by leaving the world behind completely, or is it found by dedicating yourself to saving it? Which path do you think is the ultimate expression of enlightenment?